right, what's your name?
My name is Gary Scott. I'm from Midland, Texas.
And I'm David Scott, also from Midland, Texas.
He's my son.
How'd you guys hear about BlackHawk Paramotor?
We did internet search and looked at different companies, different training, different providers of equipment, and liked the layout and what BlackHawk was telling us they could offer. And we followed through with some phone calls and decided to give it a shot.
So if you don't mind me asking, David, how old are you?
I'm 18, just turned 18 this year.
So you guys decided to come out and do this as a father-son combo?
Yeah.
Davey saw that I was interested in trying it, and I asked him what he thought, and he said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So he came out with me.
Before you came out to train with BlackHawk, what did you do ahead of time to prepare for this week?
We had called ahead to see just what might be appropriate, knowing we had about a month, 6 weeks in advance, and ordered a harness and an initial wing. We'd asked about, given our conditions of altitude, what might be appropriate, and Mike, the owner, was telling us, well, this is what you would probably need. And we had a basic instructional video on some basic techniques that we could use to kind of prepare ourselves on how to do some of these forward and reverse launches, just as kind of a primer. We know that it was pretty rough, but it was a good start. At least it got us prepared for when we hit the actual school.
So do you think it was beneficial then to get the wing ahead of time to get some practice before showing up to training?
Yeah, it definitely was. It had its share of bruises and heartache. You know, there was a real
The wind.
The wind. Where we're from in West Texas in the springtime, it is windy, and we knew that was going to be a challenge for us. And it was a real eye-opener to discover what wind can do in a wing. So we said, well, obviously we're missing a few of the finer points, and we desperately needed the school. But it gave us at least a preliminary that got us comfortable with what the wing and the harness was about.
So how do you feel about the training so far out here at BlackHawk?
It's been good. The training had kind of culminated in being able to solo. This is what, the fourth day? Yeah. And it was a realization of all the things we've sweated through and tried and repeated and messed up and tried again. And it all kind of came together in this powered flight we had this morning. It's now getting toward evening, but yeah, it all came together. It was very satisfying.
So what do you think of having the tow machine as part of your training process?
Perfect. That was wonderful. The concept sounds kind of intimidating when you think of this big line or something that you might trip over or tangle over, but it's not. It's a thin line, and Mike did a good job in operating the winch, so it stayed out of the way, kept it taut, and you had a sense of control. You realize that you're bringing your skills to bear, but when the tow line took hold, and it was very comfortable. And then when he would reel in and you'd practice your techniques, and finally he'd stop that winch, you're doing a free glide, and that was your first real taste of, okay, what's this going to be like? How's it going to handle? And how do you do the full maneuvers to pull down the brakes and go into the flare and land? And that was very helpful, especially as a preliminary to the powered flying.
Yeah, because you didn't have to worry about what if I land poorly, and you just could concentrate on the flying and the technique. Didn't have to worry about any of that.
It's one thing that you get the head knowledge, and through practice you repeat the steps that you know how to do, and each one seems to build on the next. And it's a matter now of continued practice and to keep building confidence and refining technique. But it was very gratifying to know that after 4 days, which was pretty short, that we came a long way and were able to get this far. So yeah, we're looking forward to more.
So what do you think of the safety aspect in regard to training?
They were very conscious of keeping an eye on wind conditions, speed, consistency. They educated us on effects of wind rotor and what it could do to us. So when it came time to break out in the practice sessions or towed flight or whatnot, it was under good conditions. And they educated us on what to look for, what to avoid, such that when it came time for flight, you again had that sense of control, that you were within your envelope of capabilities, and not that you were stepping out on a limb somehow and putting yourself at risk. So for newbies like us, it was about as safe as you can get, which was very reassuring.
Now, the average age guy that buys a package is 55. So David, being 18, what did you think of your experience?
Oh, it was great. I did it mostly just so I could sort of have the experience of flying, and also just because my dad had been needing someone to come along with him. You don't really need to go all that fast or do all crazy stuff, and it's certainly possible, as Andy was constantly telling us stories of the kinds of things he was doing. But it was just a lot of fun anyway, and plenty challenging, just as it was.
I was glad Davey accompanied me because one of the things I thought about was, like other sports you could do, snow skiing, bicycling, this is something that you can take up at all kinds of different stages of your life. Some people might get into sport and then lay it down for 10 or 20 years and then discover, yeah, I want to get back into that. This is something that it's a skill that you can learn that, though you'll want to take it up in practice, you can take it back up. So it's a lifelong type of sport. And what you just said about average ages of people, well, if you're learning at his age, he's got a whole lifetime of flight ahead of him, just as much or as little or as exotic or as basic as he wants to keep it. But he's now got another notch on his sport totem pole that he can use anytime he wants to.
So would you guys recommend the BlackHawk training to others?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, our instructor Andy did a very good job of covering a lot of bases and answering our questions and correcting us as we went along, things that we were doing wrong. And yeah, again, it all added up to a sense of you're refining your skills, you're getting them down, you're getting confidence in that, and then toward the end there, you're bringing it all together into one big package that winds up with motorized flight, and that was perfect. That was a perfect end to the whole experience.
David, after your first tow, Mike asked you a question. What was it?
Oh, he asked, how was it? I just, this was fun. It was a really enjoyable thing. Not the full thing, not with the motor on my back yet, but it was still just the flying, and you had the sense of being controlling the glider and just coming in for a nice soft landing. It was surprisingly fun, yeah.
So tell me about your first flight today.
Whew. Pretty nervous going into it. You know the skills and you have the reassurance and again reinforced by the towing, but it's a whole different animal to strap the throttle and the pack and the motor on your back and line everything up even just so, but it's a little intimidating, and there's a coordinated effort between pulling up that wing and gunning the motor to gain that forward thrust. And again, the critical points on these launches have been reinforced time and again where I know what to do, but I want to get it to where I'm sure to do that every time and not forget a critical step. So that'll come.
So why do you think that BlackHawk emphasizes so much that ground handling with the glider?
Oh, that was everything.
Single most important part.
Yeah, we were reassured that once you're up in the air, that things take on a whole different aspect. It's much easier, and so these first several days we sweated, we fought, we made mistakes, and we learned how to do reverse launches and forward launches, and a variety of wind conditions that I think was critical to the success, because by the time we're reaching these later stages, that's where it came into play, and you could feel it. You had more confidence with if the winds came up or were slightly different than what you expected, you knew how to compensate for it. And at the end of it, like I said, the culmination of bringing it all together and actually getting the powered flight made all the difference in the world.
Feeling I get having done both all the kiting on the ground and the towed launch is that the kiting and the launching it before you can get up into the air is the single most difficult part. Once you're up in the air, it's just pull the side you want to go to. It's nothing to it. But getting it off the ground, that's where everything can go wrong. That's the bit you need to spend the most time on. So all this kiting and training on the ground is all worth it.
What's your name, where are you from, and how long you been out of prison?
Yeah. No, I can see you guys.
Polish that a little bit.
No, I can see you. I can see Mike's.
The safety aspect. Well, when we were on our own, getting blown around in West Texas, that's another story. But safety aspect. Well, there's Band-Aids aplenty, and
Actually.
You're kissing on me, man.
Oh my God.
you should have seen him what he was doing to the blowing in the dog's nose a while back. The critical part about the towed launch is you need at least a 4-pound toad. Anything lighter than that, you just can't get the distance. So you stick with the heavier frogs.
Where that came from. He's on his Calaveras County.
I'm like,
thing.
toad. Did I hear you right? Toad, toe, anything else?
I got to jack with you people a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can